So what I want to do today is slightly different vibe than I'd gone for before, both literally and in terms of the content. So I was working on design patterns in NA10, and I will continue with that series. I'm supposed to do the builder pattern next. Just got a bit overwhelmed by all the work. But I also want to take the channel in a different direction where we focus on something a little more concrete in terms of the problems that you might be facing running a business and how you can both organize the solution to that problem, the processes around making things work more effectively, and then automate that system once you've designed it. And I kind of want to wing this because I did not prepare. So I just wanted to go in and work on a very simple thing, like maybe client onboarding. Actually, that's what we'll do today. And work through building it up from scratch. And you'll walk through it with me when I'm doing like a Google search or talking to AI to get some ideas, or facing roadblocks or errors and trying to troubleshoot right up to the end where we build something. And the idea is to show you that the stuff, a lot of the time when you see content of this kind online, it's a finished product. And sometimes it makes you feel like, oh my God, how am I ever going to do that? But the process of actually building these things, like nobody comes up with these ideas right out of the box. Kind of have to stumble a lot and work through it until you get the finished product. And you have to solve a lot of problems along the way. You have to learn a lot of stuff along the way as you're building. And I just wanted us to walk through that together so you can kind of see my thinking process when I do some of this work. So let's get into it. Okay, let's see. So client onboarding, that's what I was thinking of doing, right? And I wanted to create a workflow around client onboarding. I wanted like a really simple scenario. I don't know. What's a good client onboarding process? I feel like this isn't the kind of thing you should do on search. It'd be better to ask ChatGPT because it could just like use all of its training to come up with something. I have a I have a thing here. So I have ChatGPT o3, and I, I think I'll use web search. I'm not sure if I want to use deep research for this. And I was like, I'm trying to um, design a simple client onboarding process. So I guess maybe we need to know what client onboarding is first. Uh, uh, so could you describe to me what client onboarding is? Like I'm five, like I'm a high school grad. Okay, I don't know if I want it that simple. Is in simple terms. Okay, let's see what it says. Okay, it's doing the search and it's thinking. It says client onboarding is okay. I didn't get to see the thinking. Well, anyway, simple definition. It's everything you do right after a prospect says yes. So we have that. It's everything you do right after a prospect says yes. That tracks until they feel settled, know how you'll work together, and start seeing early value. Basically, a structured welcome plus setup that hands them smoothly. So you finalize the agreement, reassure the client made the right choice, finalize the agreement, information and access collection, audit and discovery, initial implementation and first value, blah, blah. Okay. Um, uh, okay, how about a good um, 5-step client onboarding process that that would track for, say, for I don't know. Okay, let's just pick something like what I do, like an automation agency, and see what it comes up with. It's probably going to give something a lot more complicated than we want to do, but it's going to give us ideas. And that's what we want, right? We want ideas, and then we can build on those ideas. And I do this a lot, like when I'm trying to learn something new, or I'm in a place where like it's new territory and I don't know how it works. I start by getting a deep research. Right now I'm using search. By getting deep research, just give me like a bird's eye view, discovery. Then I go do a bit more reading on some of the sources that it gives back, and I do some Google searches, and then I have like an idea, and then from there, we build on it. So below is a field tested. My ChatGPT always does this. Battle tested, field tested, drop in, whatever. Automation agency specific, 5-step onboarding framework, blah, 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 blah. Align and commit, contract, success plan, first value definition to convert the signed proposal into shared quantified success plan defined time to first value. Your list automation on outcome that proves progress. Okay. Access and data intake, solution architecture and roadmap. This isn't quite what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something automatable. Okay, how about automating initial welcome sequence and setup? I'm kind of looking for a simple but common process, client onboarding process that makes sense to implement, right? And in the comment section after this, please feel free to actually describe some of your own client onboarding processes if you own a business. And this would really help, because if you can outline those steps, maybe in a future video we can do something a little more sophisticated where we have an actual real world client onboarding process and we work through it. I have personally a very simple one. I tend to be a little informal with the way I handle things, like the relationship, building the relationship and stuff. Plus my own agency is still in its nascent stages. But yeah, I like to kind of like build on it as it goes, and you kind of find these problems and you start writing down the SOPs. So we're still building our SOPs, but like if you have something that's established and you have like an entire SOP for client onboarding, and there's a lot of stuff in there you do manually, maybe you can describe in the comments and you can see how we could build it and like automate the whole build so that your client onboarding happens smoothly. Okay, so there's a trigger and welcome sequence. So you can have like a deal one in your CRM. Okay, that's interesting. And then an NA10 workflow, initiates onboarding pipeline, then a welcome email. So warm thank you plus succinct promise of first win plus link to intake form. Calendar booking link for kickoff. Okay, that's interesting. And then welcome email 2, how onboarding works. Timeline 3 to 5 tasks they must complete plus social proof or short case snippet. Interesting. Welcome email 3, day 3 if form incomplete, automated reminder driven by form completion. And then Slack or Teams channel auto create plus post pinned, start here message, and then internal task board, auto provision project board, ClickUp, blah blah, plus standard task checklist. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do all of this today, but I said I'd try, so here we are. So how do we go about this? Okay, let's think through it and try to do it a bit more visually, right? So I'm just gonna go to my Tldraw here. And we're gonna try and visualize this. I think we just want to do a new one here. And we're going to do a rectangle. And we're saying that the client onboarding needs some kind of trigger. That's the first step. So maybe the thing is, and I think we could like do a test client somewhere in Zoho CRM and have like some kind of lead pipeline where where they have like they go through some stages. And some of this stuff I know from experience, some of it I'm gonna figure it out along the way, but bear with me here. But like anyway, we need a trigger. And then from there, what we need is a welcome email, an instant welcome email, right? Let's see how much of this is reasonably automatable. So instant welcome email. Right. Next, we have, that's the first welcome email is going to have warm thank you plus succinct promise of first win plus link to intake form plus calendar booking link for kickoff. Okay, so we're just going to take this and make it smaller, and then maybe just sort of like put it somewhere in the corner, go there, and then get some other text, small presumably, and put it here and say stuff, pleasantries, plus form link. Okay, so that would be the form link. Just make that even smaller. Jesus, can't you be smaller than that, please? Or do I need to make this larger? Okay, pleasantries plus form link, right? So that's what we're doing here. And then, okay, that was annoying. So, and then plus calendar link. Don't do that again. Command Z. Okay, plus calendar link. Calendar link. Interesting. So we can have the calendar on just a regular calendar and get the link for that. That's fine. We can have like a booking, and then we can create a form and have that. And then presumably the form is going to connect to something else, which we don't know yet, but so far so good. Let's see what else we can do. Welcome email day 2, how onboarding works, timeline, 3 to 5 tasks they must complete, blah, blah. Okay, we're going to wing that because we don't have the content for it, but we will do like some kind of sequence. Arrow, command A, control A, or A. There we go. Okay. I was totally not even, the screen hadn't selected the whole time. Okay, so what do we have here? So welcome email 2, welcome email 3. What does welcome email 3 have? It's just an automated reminder. So we can have like those bundled up in here. So just have text and then welcome emails 2, hype, and then so that's the number 2, and then here we have welcome email number 3, which is reminder. So this one should just be a reminder and only if necessary, right? If form is incomplete. And then channel, auto create client / client company name plus post pin, start here message, links, intake form, dashboard, support process. Oh my God. And then internal task board, auto provision project board, ClickUp, Notion, Trello plus standard task checklist, access, kickoff, first automation build. Okay, so what I'm understanding from that is what we need to do here is create a Slack user or add the client to the Slack. Do I even have Slack? Does Slack have a free trial? Some of this stuff might require payment, and I don't know how I'm going to handle that. Okay, so what were we doing? So add client to Slack, do some project management stuff for client. Where did that period come from? Okay, so there we go. And now we have this really ugly visualization that nonetheless does a job of visualizing. I think the first step here, understandably, would be to have a CRM. I do have a CRM um, account in Zoho, though you could just have take the 2 week free trial, and that one works just as well. So you know, 2 week free trial is just fine if you want, and I think it comes with like all the higher tier features since it's a free trial. So you should be able to access all of these. Zoho One and Zoho CRM are slightly different. Zoho One is a superset. So Zoho One is the entire Zoho ecosystem, and if you have a Zoho One subscription, you get access to Zoho CRM as well as other applications in the Zoho ecosystem. But if you just subscribe to Zoho CRM, then you just have access to Zoho CRM, and anything else you kind of need to probably pay. But anyway, let me go to access my apps. Right. So here I am. And I guess the first step would be to figure out that closed deals one thing. What was it? Closed deals one. I mean, we kind of need to figure out what triggers this process. So is it a deal one or something? Like I know in the pipeline, the lead pipeline thing. So I think if I'm not wrong, you would go to something like settings. Actually, you'd go to CRM first. So just on the sidebar, I'd go to CRM because I'm in Zoho 1 now. And then wait for a while for it to load. And as you can see, it's very sparse. So, don't have much to brag by way of leads and clients. But I like using it a lot for some of my builds. I have a bunch of notifications here. I'm just gonna go leave them alone and see what pipelines. Where do I access pipelines? How do I access that stuff? Is it lead pipeline? Pipelines. It's in settings under customization. And I do have a pipeline here. New lead contacted, qualified, consultation scheduled, proposal sent, closed one. You can actually add any number of pipelines. And the idea of a pipeline is that as records in your CRM, records meaning people and companies, go through the process from being a new lead when they first get added to your CRM to, when they become a proper client and become an account. So there's a distinction here. There's leads in Zoho, then there's accounts, and then there's contacts. It's a bit confusing sometimes, but the idea is a lead is someone who has signed up for a form or anything, has expressed interest in your services, or maybe interested in your services and has opted in somehow to like get something from you or something, like they give you an email or whatever. And sometimes it can even be like a cold call, like you do a cold call and you're reaching out to a bunch of random people and they're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And you can tell if they're like, if you're gathering context for cold calls, if they're well targeted, you can just call those leads as well. But usually they properly become a lead at the point where they somehow opt in or want to know more, or actually interested in your services, then now you have to kind of win them. Anyways, new lead and then contacted. So I was explaining this, my ADHD. So that's what a lead is. An account is when that lead becomes a client, so they become an account. And a contact is an individual person. So an account can have many contacts, but a contact cannot have an account. So the account is usually under the main company name or whatever, and then the contacts you have within that. And the lead can also have its own contact. So there's the lead, which is a record of its own kind, and a contact can be within a lead. So, that's something else to consider. Or a lead can be linked to certain contacts. But anyway, so you can create a new pipeline and just have like stages here, and maybe have a pipeline name and then you can, I guess there's just one layout, but you can adjust pipeline layouts, and then you can add the stages. You can create a new stage, and you can just basically, you order them. So if you want them in a specific order, if you want to create a new one, it'll give you a form where you can create a new one. Oh yeah, and then there's this probability thing. So like depending on the stage name, you can assign probabilities, and the deal category, like is it open, is usually open up until it's closed won, or closed lost, but otherwise it can be in the pipeline, so it's usually, pipeline is when it's starting out, and then it's open when you're kind of like now working the lead, you're identifying decision makers, making value propositions, meeting the sales department, all of that stuff, and then it becomes closed won or closed lost if the lead works out. And so like for each of these stages, you can measure the probability that they're going to be closed. Of course, at the beginning it's very low, and then as you go through the process, as you work the lead, it goes up to 100 at close won, or it just plummets back to 0 at close lost. I'm not going to create a pipeline. I think I'll just use the original one, and we have like a pipeline here, and I now need to figure out how you associate a lead with a pipeline. I'm not quite sure, but let's look at I'm in setup now. Can I go back to the CRM? How do I go back to the CRM? That's a bit. Oh, you press this little X somewhere up in the corner. That's what you press to go back to the CRM. That's beautiful UI design. So I'm gonna have these blurred. Don't forget, on wherever I am on the screen right now. Yeah, Cody? I'll show you after the video, but my few leads, I just don't want them there. But like, okay, so I think actually what I need to do is go back to setup, and then go to modules and fields, which is where you can like see the standard layouts and stuff of different modules, and then click on leads, and then go to standard, which is the only layout I have, and then look up here if there's something like anything to do with a pipeline. Control F. Oh, there we are. It's the lead status, right here, and you can set the lead status, I presume. All right. Let me see what options are there for lead status. Attentive to contact, contact in future, not contacted, pre-qualified. So wait, does this have anything to do with the pipeline? No, it does not seem so. Are there any unused fields in here that I should associate with the pipeline? Doesn't seem so. Okay, let's do a Google search. How to update pipeline status for lead in Zoho CRM. To update the pipeline status for lead in Zoho CRM, you can either manually update it within the lead record, or use automation features like blueprints or workflows to streamline the process based on specific criteria. Manual updates involve navigating to the lead's details and changing the lead status field, while automation can be set up to automatically update the status when certain actions occur. So technically, you can set up an automation in Zoho CRM where after updating the lead status, it updates the lead stage in the pipeline, which is beautiful. But I just realized you can actually also have it so that when you update the lead status, it triggers maybe your automation. But that, now that I think about it, that might be a bit complicated. In a way, you kind of still need a Zoho thing where, like, for example, an automation, like when a lead status changes, the Zoho thing may change the lead stage in the pipeline and then trigger something else, right? That's what we're trying to do here, a trigger. Now I realize I may have to do this in multiple videos, but I'm enjoying the process. I hope you guys are too. Okay, so let's look at automations. These are modules. So what we want is to look at things like processes and blueprints. So automations, workflow rules, and then there's blueprints. Oh my God, So which one do we use? Zoho has a lot of stuff going on. But we have workflow rules here. Workflow rules allow you to perform certain automatic actions on specific records based on filter criteria. Workflow automations can send emails, update fields. They can update fields, create records, and much more. Okay, so let's say we create a rule. I mean, we could do this in blueprints, I suppose, but I'm not sure. But anyway, let's see how far we can go with this. So the module would be the leads module. The rule name would be update pipeline stage. I can only have up to 75 active workflows. Wow, thanks, Zoho. That's a lot. I'm not even sure if I'm being sarcastic or not. Updates pipeline stage based on lead status in Zoho. Okay, so we're going to create it and see what happens, and hopefully it's going to be created anytime before Christmas because Zoho is taking its sweet time.
A few moments later.
We do not have the workflow.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Okay. And let's do this again. Finally. So this looks interesting. We have this thing, and then we have this thing. I'm guessing the when means that this form is going to be triggered when this happens. Just trying to borrow some ideas from NA10 here. But anyway, let's say when a record action, daytime field record score, record notes changes. So I guess it's an action on a record, so we'd say record action. And then the record gets edited. And then any field gets modified? No. Specific fields. This feels like we're talking. We're literally doing this in plain language. So specific fields. So do you want to repeat this whenever a lead is edited? I think so. Now that I think about it, when the lead status changes, you should be able to do the pipeline stage. What if it changes back? Is there like a way to map lead status changes directly to pipeline stages? Not necessarily the automation thing, but like, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's just easy to show. So if I come into my settings and I just exit this for a moment and look at, say, pipelines, right? And let's say I was going to do like a new pipeline and I was going to add stages here and I was going to create a new stage. Like, there's a stage name and then there's a probability and then there's a deal category. And like, let's say you have like a lead status associated with qualification and the lead status is, I don't know, contacted or something. And then it goes to needs analysis and then somehow it goes back to qualification. And oh, you know what, just forget it. Because like the workflow should make it so that anytime the lead status changes, it just maps directly to the proper pipeline stage.
Later.
And we are back to continue. I think based off of how much time that first recording already took, we're gonna get through the part where we kind of like configure the trigger. And then in the next episode or in the next video I upload, we can work through it. It can actually be a multiple episode thing where we just like work through it and try to build this stuff. And I promise I'm not gonna look at it. I'm not gonna try to build it behind the scenes. We're gonna build it with you on the video on the day. So, because I don't shoot all of these videos in the same day. But anyway, we were talking about like a record action. I know I was talking about this pipeline thing and the mapping, and I just realized the mapping happens automatically if you configure the action correctly, because literally the when then kind of structure of this logic. It's like when something happens and something else happens. So like when say in this case, you're looking at the lead status, is it? And then the value it's modified to, then this is where the mapping happens. So a value which is equal to the value, and then let's say pre-qualified, not qualified, contacted, junk lead. Oh my God, contact in future. Maybe we should add an extra status here, like paid or something. Converted. I think converted would be a good status. So I think where we need to go is we need to go to modules and fields. That's where the leads module is. And then just go through the standard layout and then the lead status. So, we're going to click on edit properties, and then I think we're going to try and add one maybe. And we're going to call that converted. Oh, this whole open thing, junk, open, blah, blah. I know why it looks a lot like that other pipeline stuff. Sorry, I'm being told to move into the frame a little better. So forgive me, but I'm just going to go on a slight tangent here because there's that pipeline stuff we'd seen earlier, right? Where is that pipeline stuff that we had seen earlier? Does anybody know? Right, so modules, okay. And then if we go to pipeline under customization pipelines, there's something about, let me just go to the stages thing and then look at this. So open, so the deal category, open, close, lost, blah, blah. Very similar, these, to the stuff going on here, right? They look like deal categories. And when I click here, it says open, not qualified, junk. Okay, select default value. I'm not sure if I can, change these. It seems I'm not able to. Maybe I should mark that as public. I'm not sure. I am not so sure. But I don't know, like, is it qualified? Let's just say when it goes to open, but that open doesn't mean closed one, right? Or maybe we can have like an extra tag. How about that? We should have an extra tag that says something. Because, well, here we have the lead status, and the lead status can only either be open or whatever. Okay, let me just set it to open, but I'm guessing if it were me, I would do something else where I'd just like get an extra tag. And you know what? Actually, let's do that. Let's get an extra field right here. Let's get a tag. So maybe a pick list. That's what they call the drop downs, right? And just put it in there. And it's like lead, the OG lead status, right? What do they mean by global set and local set? Select the global set to display related options. Note matching local and global set values auto-mapped. I have no idea what that means, but I am going to just go through it, right? And we are going to create an option here and say open, and then closed one, and then closed lost, right? And hit done. OG lead status, and then hit save. And it should be good. So now I come back here to the workflow rules, maybe reload this, so hopefully it knows what's happening on the other side. Oh my God, I never saved that. So anyway, we were talking about record action. It was an edit. It was a specific field, and I think now we're going to talk about the OG lead status is the value and closed one. And then now we can go next. And which conditions you like to apply the rule to? All leads, I suppose. And then what's the action? So we're going to update a field. Okay, so it says here function webhook create record activities, email notification tags, sign owner field update. Okay, so we could update the pipeline, but I think what we really want to do here is do a webhook call. So it's closed one, and we want to call a webhook. Now we're going to call the NA10 automation. How did I know it was a webhook? Because I've worked with NA10 a few times. And now we can actually come back here and actually create a proper workflow. Not sure how much time we have on the recording. Let me see. We may have to do this in bits. So wherever I get to, like the next 20 minutes, and then I'll continue next week. So let's call this onboarding flow, right? And what we want is a webhook trigger for now, superficially. And it's going to be this one. And it's going to be a get or a post. I think it should be a post just to follow HTTP principles, because get is when you're trying to retrieve information from a server. Post is when you are adding information to a server. And technically it's giving us a webhook call with some stuff. So it's adding information, and we're supposed to process that information somehow. Should you respond immediately? I think that's fine. I don't know. I think respond immediately is like, it just gives like a notification, like a 200 OK status code or something using respond to webhook node. Okay, anyway, let's just copy this from the test URL and then go back to workflow rules and call this webhook to let NA10 know that a client is closed. So it's going to be post, and then we're going to post to that. It's my webhook. And then is there any authorization type? Allows to set up webhook without any authorization or base authorization. A connection can be created in Zoho CRM and your third-party app. And okay, I think we're fine with general. Header, module parameters, add parameter, custom parameters, add parameter, body. Let's see what goes in the body. Type none. Form data maybe? Yeah. Form data, right? Because it's like in the body. Or raw. Maybe it's just raw. And then the format should be JSON. But what goes in there? Oh, the merge fields. They say here type hash to insert merge fields. So I guess merge fields are like the leads from stuff. So you can say lead ID. Maybe we need the lead ID. Leads the lead ID has. Okay, so it's gonna be something like, let's say, since it's JSON, I just remembered we need to do JSON here. I can just like write that stuff, but I think that's what we're supposed to do. And then we can just say that, you know, we're gonna wrap it in quotations. So lead name maybe, and then we can have that, and then do a merge, and then we can say first name, and then do a space, and then do another merge, and then go and say last name. And then comma to go to the next field, 4 spaces, and then lead ID. We might need that as well. And we can have that, and then we can do, sorry, wrong one, lead ID. Okay, so lead ID would help us to get info about that lead in Zoho CRM for the email sending and stuff, right? But anyway, so let's just do the save and associate here and see how this works out. Oh my God, we just built our first rule. What are we gonna call this rule? We should give it a name. Let's call it trigger, client onboarding trigger. Client onboarding trigger. Triggers the client onboarding process. Right, and then hit save. And we have a thing going on here. So it's on, and now we kind of need to test it, right? So I'm gonna come back here to the CRM. I keep forgetting, I need to press this X. Oops, but yeah, there we are. And maybe we can now create a lead. So we're gonna have me as a lead owner, and the company is AceMe something, and last name is person. No, it's not. It's Baggins. And first name is Frodo. Right? And do we need an email? Yes, the email can just be like my own email for testing purposes. Do you need a phone number? We don't need much else. Lead source, lead status. Now that's where things get interesting, but I'm not going to change it right now. Let's just say for now it is no status. Maybe we can say pre-qualified or not qualified. The OG lead status can be open, so it's just like gonna stay there. And then we're gonna just like save this. Oh, I need a lead source. So lead source, let's say they came from my YouTube channel. And then we're going to save this. Now we should have a Frodo Baggins from AceMe something as a lead. And this is pretty cool. So what do we do next? Well, we go into NA10 and we now listen for a test event so that this webhook is listening. And then we come back here to Mr. Frodo Baggins and we change his OG lead status. Wherever the hell that is. It's probably somewhere here. Where's OG? There you are. And you just do that and we say it's a closed one. Right? That's the one. And then we should be able to save. Oh, we click on the little thing. Great. Do we have a right? See? It did the thing. And it gave us right here a lead name and a lead ID. Great. I think we've got the first thing going, right? So what's the first thing? We wanted the trigger to work, and now we can start working around the instant welcome email. Because I know this video is already very long, but in the next video, I'm going to work on the instant welcome email and the email sequence, and we'll work through it together. And let me know in the comments if you like this new format I'm trying out. I find that I'm much more motivated because when I have to prepare for a video, I have to build the automations in advance. It's quite a bit of work, and then I have to do the recording. I feel like working through it with you as the audience is cool because it's motivating and I'm just doing it. I don't have to do twice the work. And I don't know, maybe it'll help you when you see how I just go through my own random problem solving process. If you like it, let me know. And if you have ideas for other kinds of business processes we can automate, let me know. And we'll try to cover those in a future video. So if you'd like to work with me, for sure, there's a link in the description. You can contact me on LinkedIn. I run an automation agency and we help businesses automate their business systems. We help with lead generation, we help with content automation. So feel free to reach out and we can have an initial consult and discuss how we can help each other. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.